Hi, welcome to the Leadership During Crisis Online Summit series. Thank you for taking your time to watch these episodes. Please remember to subscribe at our YouTube channel, follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook under Leadership During Crisis.
Desmond, with all these challenges that are presented with COVID-19, how do you think one can prepare ourselves during this COVID-19 crisis or when this crisis is over?
I think a very good question because the COVID-19 has actually pushed most management team to the corners that we have never wanted to go, and never thought of going to. And this is really, really interesting. I find it that because, for example, who would think of using teleconferencing as frequent as possible, and you have to do it now. And also it gives us an insight of whether do we really need to put people in the offices to work, or do we can be more productive, because we have meetings and we can talk for 4 hours. We go around the points, but under the light of having conferencing through video conferencing and all that, everybody has to be prepared. So actually go to the meeting, you have to be prepared because it's your turn to speak, you speak. But in the meeting room, some of them never prepare for the meeting and you waste other people's time. And so I find that there are many things that is positive out from this experience, and the organization plus the individual all have to learn from the opportunities are laid right in front of you. And of course, there are many things that also make us review and think through on our operations, operating hours, time, manning of manpower, and how we do things, the processes. So do we need to really carry out certain services the way we used to do, or now we can actually forgo those old practices and introduce new ones, take the opportunity to change? For example, certain operating hours of the receptionist, can it be reduced to normal hours, and the rest we put it onto some platforms where people can actually continue to seek services if they need. So it is very interesting. But the bigger picture of things is that it also tells organizations that you need to build a good team to handle crisis. It informs the organizations that you need to set aside budgets for crisis, and communication management during crisis time is even more relevant. A lot of time, my natural reaction is when you talk about management by crisis, you do a paperwork. But through this experience, we know that paperwork and planning is just inefficient. There are many things to take care, like, for example, the morale of the staff that is at the front line. It's exactly what the SAF teach the commanders to do. So you need to put all this in place, and not just on the paper planning about crisis. The communication people will have to reach out far and fast because we're in the social media world today, and customers are well informed. So your communication has to be accurate, precise, open, and sincere, and share with the customers the issues that you have to gain their understanding, so that you do not need to put a strain on your organization unnecessarily, because your staff are all quite tired, during this whole period of managing this crisis. So you need to really do a lot of juggling acts, a lot of balancing to make sure that everybody is in good shape to fight through this period of time.
Yeah, so Desmond, thanks for sharing. Now, the thing is, because your club is actually sprawling over a big area, when you mention about quick and precise communication, what are the techniques or tools you utilize to ensure the communication is correct and it's not filtered as well?
Okay, for us is that I think important thing is you have the comms team has to be very vigilant whenever they receive a piece of news. Of course, getting the authenticity of the source of the news is very critical. And how does it apply to our business? And then the operational people will then have to come in to work with the comms team, and then quickly they have to formulate the information, they have to digest the information and formulate what needs to be broadcast out to the customers. And the important thing is they need to sort of also learn how to communicate effectively. It could be on social media platform, Instagram, Facebook, or information all to one source, which is our website. So we need to channel people to certain platforms so that we can reach out to the mass. So in order to do that, your communication and strategy and plan has to be there to sort of draw people to one platform. That's where you can then use that as a major direction for your communication. But it cannot be just one. Normally, it's a good mix of a few. And so the information that you gather has to be digested, has to be properly think through, has to be formulated towards the business, relating to the business, and then develop into a piece of information that is concise, precise, and clear for the customers to understand your views, your standpoint.
Great,
Right.
thanks. Desmond, now we also
Yes.
know that in every crisis, there will be opportunities that will be presented. What would be your suggestions for an individual and organization to prepare themselves now to tap on the opportunities that will be coming?
I think for organization is when there's a crisis, you will see your team moving into action. You will also observe individual players, their strengths and their weaknesses. You will also be able to see their reaction, their attitude, their perseverance in handling difficult matters or situations, and how good they are in representing them and solving the problem. So these are good opportunities to self-study your team, your management team, and look upon how else can you do after this crisis to help them and to even develop them. Or during the crisis, how do you then encourage them and how do you then help them to perform better? And opportunities like this will also tell you where are your weaknesses in terms that you need to really cover, take steps to improve it. For example, basically certain things like a certain response situation. Operationally, how do you keep your people well informed how to answer to questions by customers, and how do your people react fast enough if there's one regulatory come out and they have to carry out certain tasks to perform, and how thorough they are with the task and whether they think long term or short term. So your team will perform differently. And these are opportunities for you to pick up and to help the team after the crisis. For individual wise, as for me, I think we realize the fact that we need to also keep ourselves, our well-being in a good shape, because we need to direct, we need to lead, we need to plan, we need to organize. And so we need to have a good physical fitness and well-being in order to perform our job. So we really need to look beyond what just management does. And I think the COVID crisis make us understand that even in the working world, you would be required to perform tasks that beyond what your job actually prescribes. So you need to pull the business through. So it takes a lot of toll on yourself in order to plan and clear the air, clear the ground, align everybody so everyone can see a clear bottom of the muddy water. And so this crisis actually brought us to self-evaluate our own performances also, and importantly, train the next person in line or the younger leaders in our organization. In fact, I brought a couple of the younger ones to take leading positions to test them out and see what kind of grit they have in dealing with these difficult times. Yeah.
So there were also questions actually, I think on forums that were discussing in times of crisis, right? Do you think there's an effective leadership style that somebody can adopt?
I think the leader itself has to understand that everybody is fighting this together with him. You need to focus on the top issues, but you also need to try your best to reach as far down as possible, because your presence at the lower level is definitely a booster. The people out there on the front line dealing with all the difficult customers and situations, handling complaints, trying to get operations going under restricted manpower, long hours of working hours. They really hope to see that the leader is aware about what is happening. So your leadership has to be, in a way, very focused on your corporate plans and objectives, while you need to have the soft side that you need to keep your team there with you. It's a balancing act. You can't do this lopsided. You have to balance your act on the leadership front.